Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sound Live Sports Network broadcast of Women's 3A Soccer. Today, the number 2 and number 3 seedings in the Wesco 3A, the Edmonds Woodway Warriors and the Shorewood Thunderbirds, a game that could have some implications when it comes to playoff. Both teams have already played Shorecrest, the team that is occupying that number 1 spot with a 10-0-0 undefeated record in the Wesco 3A. Edmonds Woodway just ahead of Shorewood, 8-2-0, and Shorewood with the 7-2-2 record on the season. And we are underway here at Edmonds District Stadium. Keith Neely with you, and Nathan Murphy will be joining us shortly. And we are on familiar territory. We've got a doubleheader tonight. One of many, although today's doubleheader, a little football along with football. Football is the 7:30 game. A winner gets the last playoff berth style of game, and that will be at 7:30, the kick between the Glacier Peak Grizzlies and the Edmonds Woodway Warriors. Edmonds Woodway very strong in offense as Jacqueline Metz fields the ball and is cleared away there on the far touchline and out. A very big presence up front, and you want to watch number 2, Maddie Schultz, and Ashley Fonson, number 3. Ramey Peters coming out of the midfielder. Ashley Fonson playing in the defense, and Riley Peterson is the other forward wearing number 9. So number 9 and number 2. Those young ladies already have made a statement on the soccer landscape so far this year, and Maddie Schultz has been already recruited to play as onside. Here's an attempt at goal, right foot, and the keeper out to grab it. Dribbling just a little too much. And it goes clear. Right into the keeper. That will be a goal kick. And that was the aforementioned Rayleigh Peterson on the attack. And the keeper tonight for the Shorewood Thunderbirds, Maddie Bell Knight, a senior. A nice clearance now here into the attacking third. Quickly up on it, a very speedy Maya Francisco, and she has that cleared on the near touchline and out. We get back to that Warrior offense. 4 Division I recruits. Maddie Schultz going to the University of North Carolina. Ashley Fonson, the defender, to Oregon State. You've got Riley Peterson going to Nevada, be part of the Wolfpack. And Kiera Towle, who we have not talked about yet, the keeper wearing the green kit today in goal for the Warriors. Kiera Towle heading to Pennsylvania. So that is one heck of a side. And there, a little hesitation, skip jump. And here comes Maddie Schultz. She's got some clearance and her left foot wide. 2 straight possessions, 2 straight one-on-ones, and neither one draws the back of the net for the Warriors. But you've already seen 2 attacks from 2 different, very potent running forwards, and that is Maddie Schultz with the last attack. And I imagine we'll see more of Riley Peterson before this is over. Not quite able to clear it through midfield, and Edmonds Woodway will try to bring it forward now. The T-Birds on the way. Contact. They say foul will bring it back to the Warriors' possession. Just on the T-Bird side of the midline. Isabella Meager. And now on to the far touch. Not quite as nice a through ball as they wanted to put on there. They had 3 heading in. And now this one will go on to the near touch, and it will be out. Too much and too far out of the reach of Melissa Long. Shorewood not shabby either. And you got to hang with some of these big dogs. Shorecrest. Shorewood has already played them back on September 16th. Seems like an eon ago as the ball cleared by Towle and back into the midfield. And they won it. Shorewood 1-0 over the Scots. So they've already beaten the top dog. Edmonds Woodway fell 1-0 to the Scots earlier this season. So it kind of shows you at least some parity toward the top of the standings. After you look down a little ways, it drops off in a hurry. Shorecrest, Edmonds Woodway, Shorewood, and Arlington. And then Mount Lake Terrace, the Hawks, all really pretty close, within about 3 games of one another. And then it drops off considerably the rest of the way. Stanwood 5-4-1, Glacier Peak 4-5-1. And then only 2 wins apiece for Marysville Pilchuck, Marysville Getchell, Everett, and Meadowdale. And then only 1 apiece for Oak Harbor and Linwood. Ball back to Meager now, and then finally back kick to Towle to clear it out to the far side. Haley Porter with it. Porter now will push it up forward, and there comes the through ball from Monroe. And not running on that far side. Edmonds Woodway will turn it over. They tried to hit Peterson. And now a 3-on-3, suddenly a 2-on-3. Finally picked up there nicely. Meager with the stop, and she's still on the run. Little back kick. And now a turnover, and a dangerous one. Long can't keep possession and finally has to clear it along the near touch. But a good double team. And on the throw-in now, Shorecrest with an opportunity. Francisco's got about a 2-inch advantage, it looks like, for the junior. And there's the header in. Dangerous now, right foot. He's still in the area. Back to Towle, maintains her line, and it's taken away there. Now finally out to Long. Dispossessed. Still in the attacking third are the Thunderbirds, and that one just an errant cross, trying to get it just into the middle to find somebody. And now they'll back it out to Olivia Hollenbeck, and the senior defender will regroup things. Anna Whitaker. And now giving chase on the far sideline just before it goes out of the far touch was senior Michaela Morgan, the forward. Morgan has been in the area a few times, and she certainly a tall individual, and nicely cleared there with Gabby Clark. And the Warriors struggling right now just to get it through the midfield. They've been in the attacking third for quite a while. Here's Schultz. Schultz with it, left foot, beats 2 defenders now, shows that speed, that Tar Heel speed. Now across into the center, had a girl open, still coming into the center of the area. And there's a strike with the right foot, is right to the keeper. Ellie Scholl with a pop. And 2 would-be attackers on that cross by Maddie Schultz. She got it into the area, had 2 running in, both onside. First one was a whiff. The second one found Ellie. And Scholl gets at least the shot off. So far, 3 opportunities. 2 of them right to the keeper in Bell Knight. And Bell Knight is 2 saves on 3 attempts. So not a bad job for the senior keeper for the T-Birds. And now the throw-in. And headed clear there by Helland. And now picked off. Here comes Long. Long into the midfield. Now dispossessed once again. Out on the right-hand side on the downhill slope goes Lisa Jensen. The junior now tries to turn the corner and is expertly marked by Melissa Long. It will be a corner kick, however, the first corner of the afternoon. And Shorewood sticking right with Edmonds Woodway. You got to get a sense that Bill Lecomte would love to have those opportunities, at least the first 2 back. The initial one by Peterson and then the follow-up by Maddie Schultz were both one wide and one just a little under kicked. And now into the area. Dangerous right foot is blocked there. Right back in. Header is Almost over the bar. Towel with a great reflex to knock it clear. Holy smoke, Francisco had a shot at it inside the area, and it may have been called offside. I did not see the flag go up. But it looked like everybody had turned at that point in time to head back down into the attack for Edmonds Woodway before it was taken clear. And Edmonds Woodway shows their speed, shows what they have on offense as far as the attacking third, but they're really having trouble through the middle. It's getting gummed up through the interior. And E-Dub struggling a bit to get it past the midfield line. We'll see what they can do here. Allison Monroe, Melissa Long. Jacqueline Metz there tried to head that one away. Get it back to Metz. Excuse me, that is not Metz. That's Scholl. There's Metz, tries the one touch, and it's knocked away. And here come the T-Birds into the double team. Almost every time it gets forward, it looks like 1, 2, maybe even 3 sometimes. Warriors are right there to mark the possession as that one gets knocked clear high side up and over the end line. That will be a goal kick. Shorewood is done after tonight. This is their final regular season matchup. Edmonds Woodway has yet to finish up. They still have one more, the Marysville Pilchuck up at Quilceda Stadium Wednesday, October 9th. That'll be this Wednesday. And, of course, we all know what happened last Friday. And our heart goes out to the Tomahawks. And I would doubt that, if I remember right, they will not have any events on campus this week. So I'm guessing that Marysville Pilchuck game will be postponed. And you can check wescoathletics.com to find that answer before traveling up north. Francisco has that one parried away and on the near touchline, and they will get it right back. So E-Dub, should they win today and then end up with their final win, should they play the game against the Tomahawks, would finish with a 10-2-0 record. That would be probably good enough. That will be good enough for the second seed in the Wesco 3A heading into the playoffs, which, boy, we're right there. It does not take much. November 1st is the first matchup in the playoffs, so stay tuned. We'll see what kind of broadcast availability we have for the soccer playoffs and following some of these gals all the way on to state. Back into midfield, and the Edmonds Woodway putting almost 6 behind the ball, 7 behind the ball. Towel now will rush out of her crease in net there and take it away from the on-running Francisco. Pushes the troops forward. And now kicking up and over. Maddie Schultz now will put on a burst of speed and try to outrun the defender Olivia Hollenbeck. Not quite successful now to Pettit. Stolen away there. Here's Schultz. And back into the midfield to go. Not real crisp after it started bing, boom, bang. 2 shots on goal on the first 2 possessions. Suddenly, E-Dub is struggling to get through midfield. And they're doing it because of some really questionable passing. And now here's Schultz once again. Left foot has 3 behind the ball. Puts on a burst of speed. Now into the area. Crosses up to her left foot. Has one to beat. Here's the shot up and over the bar. On target, just a little high, and that's the danger of the soon-to-be Tar Heel, and you can see why she was looked at from afar. Nathan Murphy, welcome in.
Glad to be here, Keith. That's a marvelous. It's a 55, 60-yard run all by herself, and she did it all with speed. She didn't have to stop and make a move. She just went to the outside of the defender. I think that was Hollenbeck, and Hollenbeck couldn't catch up with her. The only thing she didn't do on that possession was put it into the corner.
Had a very good line on a speed demon. And when you're playing on your heels like that, you're going to have to pick and choose when all the other defenders seem to just lay waste behind you.
The only thing Hollenbeck could hope to do there is exactly what she did, which is keep her to the outside. And it makes it a more difficult shot, especially for a right-footed player. But she got a pretty good attempt off. It clanked off the football crossbar there. It didn't miss the soccer goal by more than 1.5 feet or so.
And welcome you in and catch you up, Nathan. This Edmonds Woodway team sporting 4 Division Iers. And you would think that would mean absolute domination in this sport, but I think this is the one sport, and correct me if I'm wrong, where it may not be, where you, like in a basketball or football, you put that kind of prowess on a field or a court, and things happen that normally don't. In soccer, there's a little more ebb and flow to the game, and even though you've got such spectacular players, it doesn't always mean a W.
Particularly on offense, Keith, it's a little more difficult for a single standout player to change a match in soccer than it is in football or basketball. A football running back who can make that kind of spectacular move and really carry the team by himself, or a basketball forward who can take the ball and score on 2 or 3 possessions in a row. It's a little bit different in this game where somebody has to find a way to get you the ball in a dangerous area, or you have to be able to do it yourself. We saw Ms. Schultz do that just a moment ago, but it's not as common as it is in a few other sports. Nice long ball here.
Here she is trying to get the home run ball. Schultz with the on-rushing Melissa Long out of midfield along that left-hand flank. Nice eye. Hesitated beautifully to wait for Long to get clear of 2 defenders. And now a bit of a mistake. And here come the Thunderbirds taken away in a triple team.
Helen tried to go through 3 people there. She had options on the right flank. I don't think she saw her winger there. I think that was Francisco.
And Francisco has been very active off the ball, especially for a forward. And I can imagine you'll see and hear a lot more about May Francisco.
It's a different kind of style of forward. You see some guys, to use the Sounders comparison, you remember a guy like Freddie Montero, who was an incredibly dangerous finisher but didn't display a lot of the work ethic required sometimes to make himself a little more dangerous in his position or what have you. You look at the kind of the opposite in a guy like Lamar Nagel, who does not have the clinical finishing abilities of a guy like Montero, but who absolutely works hard to make himself dangerous.
Near handball there into defense, but putting 2 marks on Francisco that time in order to strip her away of the soccer ball, and Edmonds Woodway right back into midfield. And they almost seem to be taking a much more defensive stance than we saw on the early going, as referee Jeff Isaacson whistles the foul about 5 yards short of midfield for the Thunderbirds.
Francisco's leaving the game on a substitution now, but for the last several moments, it's been, I think it's been Mackey who was just on her shoulder the whole time.
Morgan McFarland, the sophomore forward, steps into the spot occupied by Francisco. Francisco working awful hard, and over the course of 80 minutes, which the way she was working when she did not have the soccer ball, which was impressive. You're gonna tire a little more easily, I imagine.
It takes tremendous fitness to play that kind of a game, and you look at a guy like Lamar Nagel who comes off more often than he plays the 90, and that's exactly why.
We've got a foul on Maddie Schultz and a little tap of sorry from Annika Whitaker, the freshman defender.
It's a good hard challenge. It's a foul, but it's a legitimate challenge, if you would. On the ball, trying to separate the player from the ball. Got a little bit too much of the body, says Jeff Isaacson. Free kick for Edmonds Woodway, about 25 yards diagonal from the goal.
And taking that kick is Riley Peterson, and here it comes into the area. 2 on rushing right at the net and at the keeper.
Offside.
It was offside, and that was both Schultz and Jacqueline Metz out of the midfield going in. Metz, of course, a little bit taller.
I think the Metz is the one who stepped a little bit too soon on the kick there. The assistant referee very quick with the flag. It's an interesting situation. The center referee can choose to play on there when the goalkeeper gets the ball. He chose to blow the whistle instead, and now the goalkeeper has the ball back anyway.
And how about the service by Peterson? That was right on the far post. Beautiful service.
Nice curling ball. It was a good placement. It was a little bit too far given where the defense had set their line for one of her teammates to try and run onto it, but a great ball.
Now running up the far flank, centered into the middle. Here is Peterson now. A little through ball attempt. No, taken away. That time, Lisa Jensen will bring it up the left-hand side now for the T-Birds. Edmonds Woodway had two amazing opportunities right off the opening kick. One where Riley Peterson went one-on-one with the goalie and I think just tripped over her goalkeeper and just tripped over her boots a bit because she had nothing on it, and all that Belle Knight had to do was just scoop it off the turf from about 5 feet. And then very dangerous Maddie Schultz got almost the similar run that you saw just there, Nathan, where she heads up the left-hand side, puts on a burst of speed, and finds herself clear. And now we get into the center, asking for the ball. And a right-footed kick will be quite a bit to the right of the goal.
That's a clever attempt from Riley Peterson. Back to goal to turn and flick it like she did, just a little bit out of the reach of Long. But that's a very nice idea from Ms. Peterson.
About halfway through now, the opening half here, as Maddie Schultz tries to be a little pesky up there in the defensive half, trying to keep the ball in the attack for the Warriors.
There's nothing that can discompose a team quite so much as feeling that your back four can't hold on to the ball securely. And good hard pressure from a forward can accomplish that for a team if they're able to do it successfully. On the flip side is the fitness issue you were talking about earlier. If your forwards tire themselves out, there's not energy left for making themselves dangerous when you have the ball. So you have to balance those things.
Maddie Schultz, I'm guessing, is not going to tire much. A U17 national team player is in camp more often than she's not. I imagine she
fitness not the first concern.
She's got the wind.
Playing in those FIFA tournaments does kind of have that effect, doesn't it?
Warm weather. Certainly not the case today. And here is Miss Schultz with the ball now across the midline. Little hesitation. Pulls it back now.
Advantage, says the referee.
Has Peterson on her left. She'll decide to take it herself. Now cross up. Has one shot. Has one to beat. No. And almost as if she was just going to dribble coast to coast for the layup.
You know, with most players, an advantage in the middle of the field with nobody to pass to, I wouldn't say that's a good decision from the referee, but he shows great awareness here in knowing who's on the ball, because with Madison Schultz, that is an advantage, and she took it all the way to the 12-yard mark and nearly made something out of it. And that's much more than you'd get with a free kick from 55 yards.
And now, after holding possession the majority of the first 20 minutes, Thunderbirds struggling a bit now just to maintain any kind of possession. And I don't know if it was the two on-rushes by Schultz that has them flummoxed a bit. And they're just trying to regroup.
Speed's frightening. As a defender, speed is very scary, and when there's someone who's able to go around you, leaving you feeling like there's not much you can do to affect it, it leaves you very tense. Tension is the opposite of control in soccer.
Jensen gave it up to Helen, and now trying to get something started is Pettit. Right-hand side looking for a cross, and it'll be over the end line, and it'll goal kick to Kiera Towell, and the recruit to pin will boot it clear.
Nice opportunity for Lisa Jensen. She had a step down in the corner there, but wasn't able to get the cross off with her right foot.
16 seconds remain, or 16 seconds. Let's call that 16 minutes.
And 16 seconds.
And 6. Yeah, we got them both.
There you go.
I looked up. Wasn't wrong.
It's all about finding the way you were right, isn't it?
Hey, sometimes that's all it takes.
You betcha.
Any pat on the back, even if it's your own.
Can you tell it's a referee talking, Keith?
Here we go. Edmonds Woodway now will put it into the midfield, and 5-6 behind the ball for the Thunderbirds. They do not want another jailbreak.
They've been feeling this pressure, and they've adjusted the way they're playing. They're not pushing as many people forward, and they're not being as cautious in their possession. They're quicker to send it the other way long and regroup.
Ellie Scholl wins the ball on the far touchline.
She's had a few touches here in the last few minutes. About 6 or 7 minutes ago, she made a 25-yard run down the far touchline to get back out of her midfield spot and intercept a ball. That was a very aware play, and give her a lot of credit for that.
Now a little back and forth trying to just clear some space, and cannot find it. They'll have to regroup and knock it back to Meager. Now over on the left-hand side is Long, and she'll have it taken away. Tried to cross back to her left. Just lost it up over the shin guard and out.
She flicked it right past Hollenbeck, and she thought Hollenbeck had taken a touch. The officials disagreed. Tough for me to see from up here, but she certainly thought that it had deflected. Substitution now in for Shorewood is, I believe that's Nicole Holmstrom, and she replaces Madeline Pettit.
Edmonds Woodway turning right around on the throw and to regroup. Now has some numbers forward. They'll push it out to the right-hand side to Porter. Porter up to Scholl. Scholl now into midfield. Left-hand side taking a touch is Monroe.
Nice touch, very nice touch from Schultz, and a cross coming in now.
Long. Now they get it right into the middle, and a little miscommunication there, trying to find Peterson. Peterson was in the area, and they're a very soft, easy to handle ball for the keeper, Bell Knight.
Peterson went central, and it looked like her teammate, was that Hull? I think it was. Hull thought she was going to go wide, and she went central instead. And that's one of those things. It's not always easy when an offensive player sees space from one perspective and the person feeding her from a different one.
Here's a right-footed strike. Just outside the outstretched arms of the keeper, and I've made a mistake. I had Maddie Bell Knight as the starting keeper, and I see Ashley Garay is in, the senior. Garay wearing number 1.
We've called in the last few minutes Riley Peterson's name several times, and that was a nice opportunity for her. Unfortunately, she couldn't settle the bouncing ball, and she pulled it. You got to keep your shoulders over that when she pulled it outside the far post, but a great opportunity for the Warriors.
And still on the attack. And right now, Thunderbirds have to do almost exactly that, and that's just get themselves enough space to get the back line, the shape, back together again, because it's certainly been off a bit this last 2 or 3 possessions for the Warriors.
It has, and we talk about speed. That's what causes shape issues. You look at somebody like Madison Schultz. You look at all of these Ashley Fonson, Remy Peters, all of these people who are these dangerous, quick players, and it's tough to maintain your shape defensively when people can slash through it even so.
Backing it back up, and to try to get another look at things here. Ball into the midfield, and it seems like every time the Thunderbirds now get a chance to just calm down, take possession, and get the ball up into their own attacking third, they seem a bit spooked. And now here's the shot. Our right footer is a little bit high off the foot of Melissa Long. The junior wants to take her digs.
Long with a tremendous individual effort just to win that ball. And on top of getting to it first, she made a great play to cut it back and give herself some space to take that shot. Unfortunately for her, nobody in the area to cross it. That's a tough angle to shoot from, and she put it over the top.
So E-Dub, so far, the entertainers on the offensive side. And it started with a bang right off the bat. And these two teams can score immense goals in a hurry. I guess that's the best way to put it. Maddie Schultz, of course, has scored at least 1 goal in the last 8 matches. And at one point in time, against Oak Harbor, scored 5.
For a team in Shorewood that comes in here 7-2 in the league, they look very defensively postured, but maybe that's what you'd expect. And if you're Bill Wilkins over on the Shorewood sideline, you've got to be looking at the clock. 11 minutes and change left here in the first half. Try and survive this first half and see how you can regroup and try and alleviate some of this pressure and maybe find a counterattack. They haven't found one in the last 20 minutes.
No, and really only one, and that was off a miscue It did not result in a shot, but that's all you've seen so far out of the T-Birds offense. Even though they occupied perhaps 9 of the first 10 minutes of possession, have really had either soft possessions or no possessions in that 9 minutes.
Sometimes you get a feeling when a team comes out of the gate with pressure that if they don't get something, they're going to end up kind of sitting back after the spell has run its course, if you will. And that seems to be what's happening here with Shorewood, where they just haven't been able to sustain the way they started the game, and Edmonds Woodway has fed off of the relaxation, if you will, after the pressure alleviated.
10 minutes and change now remain here in the first half between the Shorewood Thunderbirds and the Edmonds Woodway Warriors, 2 and 3 in the standings in the Wesco 3A division here at Edmonds District Stadium. The artificial turf, which both of these teams have in their home. Of course, Shorewood getting a brand new facility and a beautiful facility in which to practice now. I can imagine their turf may be a little better as far as the soft and newness. You get some of that new Omni turf. It almost feels like you're running in sand.
The technology as far as artificial surfaces has just improved so much over the last 10 years.
Exponentially. And I don't honestly know when this turf was put in. I can't remember. I'd have to ask our facilities folks.
It's not the very first generation, which you see at a few schools. I think Snohomish has one of the first generations of field turf, but it just keeps getting better and better to the point where you really, as you said, you almost can't tell the difference until you try and pull some.
And, of course, you've got the hybrid types where you have natural grass growing up through the artificial surface, so it's a little bit of both, although I don't know that there's any of that here in this neck of the woods.
You know, those are very challenging to maintain under two circumstances you see in Seattle area high schools, which is heavy rain or frequent rain and high usage. It's a situation intended for high visibility kinds of applications like a pro stadium where it has to be in perfect shape, but they don't use it, multiple teams practicing on it every day.
Sure. They are nice, and it kind of allows some of those pros that have the distaste for artificial turf, it may whet their appetite that they would make a trip in to a stadium that might have such things. But
but he's retired.
Yeah, but he's retired.
It's a very interesting idea, the kind of flip at the high school level. I don't think you'll find any of these players who wish their high school had a grass field. And that has mostly to do with what I was saying, which is frequency of use and frequency of rain. But at the pro level, at the international level even, you've heard about the lawsuit involved with the international level women's players over the World Cup next year, filed in Canadian court alleging that FIFA is discriminating against them by scheduling the World Cup on artificial fields. And to an extent, you have to think they have an argument, because I cannot imagine a world in which FIFA would play the senior men's World Cup on an artificial surface. So it's just interesting as you get to the higher levels, the ball bounces differently enough or the players react to the surface differently enough that it really is that big of a deal.
Boy, but if you're coming out of the locker room every day here,
oh yeah,
as there's a missed touch, here's an opportunity into the area. Strike off the post, hits the wood, and into the goal. There's your first strike of the day, and it came off the foot of Morgan McFarland, a rebound off the far post.
I think the initial shot came from Holmstrom, and McFarland just in the perfect position to finish. With just 7 minutes left here in the first half, it's exactly the counterattack that we were saying that Shorewood needed, and they take the lead.
So 33 minutes in, Morgan McFarland takes advantage, and the sophomore puts her Thunderbirds up 1-0 over the home Edmonds Woodway Warriors. And now we'll have to see if perhaps a little more forward pressure is put on, and none other than Madison Schultz, here she goes into the area, crosses up. She wants a through ball, can't get it. Had Peterson in the area, gets the turnover, but then right into a double team.
Clearly frustration from Schultz there, determined to take it herself all the way. You can't go through 4 or 5 players at once. At least not without a little luck, and both times the ball taken from her feet by the next player around the corner.
It takes 2 and 3. She's drawing 2 and 3.
Oh, yes.
And now she'll have it again. Tries a little pass back. It's cleared there. Monroe, I don't think knew she was to run on.
Well, Helland a little bit late there. Stepping into the ball, took to the turf Ramey Peters. And Edmonds Woodway goes fast.
And that one, a one touch that wasn't even close. And I was not sure who took that shot. I believe that was Peterson.
It may have been. It may also have been Monroe. It kind of scuffed off her foot. That is Peterson.
5 minutes remaining here in the first half. The Thunderbirds up 1-0 over Edmonds Woodway. Can afford now to play exactly how they've been playing.
Oh, it sets up a long 45 minutes for them if they're going to try and hang on to this, because we've seen that the Warriors are capable of exerting very dangerous pressure over extended periods of time. On the other hand, you see this here. It may have enlivened the offense for Shorewood.
Sure seems to have breathed some life. And the ladies in the blue kits now find themselves this side of midfield for, only the second or third time in about 20 minutes.
There's nothing like a goal you didn't quite expect to put some juice back in the legs.
And now running on with the ball up that right-hand side, Peters finds Schultz in midfield. Schultz will control, dumps it back. This is Monroe. And then has it taken away as Peters tries to split a double team. Now runs up that left-hand side, centers it, but it'll be cleared. And Edmonds Woodway, I think you're right, Nathan, seems to be a little bit discombobulated after a quick strike. They just seem a little flustered.
They really do, and you can see it in the passes that they're making right now. You go back 5 minutes, and the passes, they were taking more time, but the passes were more accurate. And right now they're sending it a little. That's a nice ball, though.
Ball up to Schultz now. He heads into the center of the area, taken away on a beautiful tackle. And that was Anna Whitaker that laid her body to the ground and just scrubbed the ball clean off the foot of Madison Schultz.
That's perfect play from a center back. Use your positioning. Don't go after the player. Securely get the ball. Great play.
3 minutes now to play here, and that is, of course, assuming there will be no added time. But you've had a couple substitution, but nothing as far as injuries or any bookings to be talked about.
No discipline. High school rules changed in the last year here in Washington to allow the referee to keep time on the field, which is different than the national high school rules. So the clock will stop here with 2 minutes remaining, and the whistle will be the only signal we'll get.
And one more attack now for the Thunderbirds, and they're doing an outstanding job now regrouping. Shorewood, I think you're absolutely right, Nathan, finding life where they may not have found it before, and it happened to be the Morgan McFarland rebound.
It's going to be very interesting to see how these two teams come out of halftime. You can see the Warriors being frustrated. You can see them being glad it's only one, the way that Shorewood's kept the pressure up here.
Long tries to find Schultz up that left-hand side. Cannot do it. Now they'll knock it back into Jensen. And now Edmonds Woodway will give it up to Peterson up in the front. Schultz with it, tries to kick it back to herself amongst the triple team. And right now it's kind of watching the star point guard take it in amongst the trees.
Well, that one, to be fair, wasn't her fault. The ball took kind of a funny hop. She stuck her foot out to try and get what she could out of it, but the ball was behind her. She wasn't able to take it with her. She's certainly making herself threatening up there, but she's not been as effective as she was 10 or 15 minutes ago.
So we were in that magical time now where we're down to a minute to go. And like you think Nathan has done this before, immediately pulls out the stopwatch at 2 minutes, which I think was an afterthought for me.
You know, it's a game I pay attention to.
You absolutely do, and I'm glad you're my partner tonight there, Nathan Murphy. As it gets down into a corner kick, I believe. They award the corner.
That's correct. Ramey Peters with a very nice long run down the touchline there. And we talked about the center back just a minute ago, and that's Anna Whitaker. She did another very nice job there to strip the ball from the feet of Peters. Unfortunately, for her, it took a kick off her heel and goes out for a Warrior corner with only 30 seconds left in regular time.
Riley Peterson will offer service now. Here comes the ball into the area. It finds Schultz. It is another corner kick, and it just kind of hung on the hands of Garay. And I couldn't tell if it caught the net or if it went on to the outside the post, and it will be another corner kick.
Gray got a piece of it, and I think it was cleared off the line. I'm not able to see her number. Now I do. I think that was London. Melissa London cleared it off the line.
Here's Peterson high, archer, header now in for Schultz, and it will be
that's a pushing foul.
A foul underneath.
Yep. That's a good call. Peterson kind of got her shoulder down, trying to make some space for herself. A veritable wall of blue down there as we've had now the 40 minutes.
So we are into that extra time.
And not much of it.
And it can't be much.
That's it.
And that will do it. So after one half is in the books, here at Edmonds District Stadium, Shorewood comes in and takes first blood 1-0 over the Warriors of Edmonds Woodway in a battle and a fun one. We'll be back on the Sound Live Sports Network. Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mount Lake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger. And thank you for watching.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts. Because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
To see how much you can save on car insurance and much more, call Jeff Smar. Jeff's office serves many areas including Linwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mountlake Terrace. He can be reached at 425-949-7103 or jeffsmar@allstate.com.
Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. The Action Jackson Plumbing halftime program here. Edmonds Woodway heading into the locker room, down a goal to the Shorewood Thunderbirds on their senior night. Heading right below us here as some of these seniors are being honored tonight. Ramey Peters, Haley Scholl, Isabella Meager, Riley Peterson, Jacqueline Metz, Melissa Long, Kiera Towell, and Sophie Zolman, all the seniors for Edmonds Woodway, being honored tonight in their final regular season home game here at the District Stadium at Edmonds Woodway. And so far, your thoughts on the first half, Nathan?
You know, Edmonds Woodway is going to feel a little bit unlucky here, and they should. They played really, really well for most, 25 minutes, maybe 30 full minutes of that half. And then a single counterattack. We've talked about how that was the thing that they needed to be worried about. One counterattack, a shot. Kiera Towell pushed it onto the post, but it came back into the middle and put home easily by a Hollenbeck. And that's the difference in the match. So Woodway knows they have the horses to control this game, but hasn't managed to put anything on the scoreboard. So that's the challenge for them, is to turn the dominance of possession and the dominance of pressure into a tying goal and maybe a go-ahead goal.
A finish.
And you gotta have
you would
one.
love to have the first 2 or 3 opportunities back if you're head coach Bill Lecomte that your team occupied in the first 3 possessions were open netters almost. You had the keeper to beat, and it goes right on by or softly into the arms of Ashley Gray.
Well, and a weapon like Madison Schultz, too, you see sometimes early in the game is when players like that have their best opportunities, because teams who haven't seen this player before or who haven't seen them in a few weeks or what have you, sometimes they forget or don't know how to deal with that. And in the first 10 or 15 minutes, that's when you have your biggest chances to use something like Madison Schultz's speed. And now it seems, at least in the last 15 or so minutes of the half, that Shorewood started to figure out how to handle her. And for the speed that she has and the ability that she has to be effective, now she has to have people come with her and use the fact that she does draw 3 defenders to then get someone else open.
Or 2.
Yeah.
And they have not yet done that as far as putting 3 and 4 bodies forward. You look at the standings in the Wesco 3A girls soccer today, you can see where this matchup and where it's meaningful right there. Just under the crust of the Wesco 3A division, Shorecrest occupying that top spot. Shorewood has beaten them. Edmonds Woodway lost to them in a 1-0 affair, where Maddie Schultz, I think, hit the crossbar 3 times in that game. And sometimes luck, really, it just comes down to finishing. And if you can't, you'll find yourself in second place. If you can, maybe you do occupy the top spot.
Well, it comes down to such things as a foot here, an inch there, when you've got so many opportunities and you can't find your way into the back of the net. And we've seen that. We saw that last year in the playoff game here, where they had so many opportunities, the Warriors did, and they just couldn't find that goal. And we had talked going into that game about how they were going to have the majority of the pressure and their opponents were going to try and sit back, park the bus, and maybe advance on penalties, which they had done a couple of times in a row, and they just couldn't find a goal. So that's the challenge for this Warriors side, is to find that goal.
The district playoffs are pretty easy to spell out. You look at the standings there. Of course, we've already only shown the top 7. It's actually 8 teams that get into the district playoffs, 1 through 8. The team that you see that is missing on there right now is Marysville Pilchuck, the Tomahawks, but they're 2 wins to their name so far in the season. So if you draw that number 1 seed, if you're Shorecrest sitting right now atop the table, you really have quite a chasm of difference between yourselves and that number 8 team. You get toward the 3rd place. The 3rd place, of course, will play 6. And 6 is Stanwood. They have 5 wins. So it is a bit different, a bit of a difference if you can work your way up the table, even one spot.
Those things matter. If you can get yourself one win closer and not have to, not to disparage any side or whatever, but if you can get yourself one win closer to the state tournament without having to spend a lot of energy, without having a hugely tense affair that leaves you a little bit down into the next game, that's huge for a team, especially in high school athletics where momentum matters so much.
All between the ears to some of these young athletes, and women's soccer absolutely not off the charts as far as making things happen when they need to happen, and you can feed off the energy of your teammates. And what teammates does Edmonds Woodway have? You would think they'd grab some energy off that. We're going to take another quick break and come back and preview tonight's doubleheader. The second is the football game between the Glacier Peak Grizzlies and the Edmonds Woodway Warriors. We'll take a quick break on the Action Jackson Plumbing Halftime Program on Sound Live Sports Network. Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. Nathan Murphy, Keith Neely alongside. We apologize for the picture as we're trying to get that sorted, but the second half just underway here at Edmonds District Stadium. Welcome back. Shorewood takes a 1-0 lead with about 6 minutes left in the first half, and they still hold it here as Edmonds Woodway has an attacking throw-in almost all the way down to the corner flag here, just 2 minutes into the second half. Lots of white shirts hanging between the penalty area line, the 18-yard line, and the penalty spot, waiting for the long throw-in. And the Warriors will try and counterattack quickly here. Throw-in taken short. Looking for an opportunity to cross, maybe win a corner, and I believe they have. Yes, indeed, a corner to Edmonds Woodway early on here. Credit, I believe that was Monroe.
That was Meager, I believe. The Isabella Meager on the far side. Got tied up with the Thunderbird over there. I don't know that young lady's name.
That's the dark corner there. That's what make the
under
numbers.
The lights. And now Peterson will offer service as E-Dub runs 4 into the area. And here it comes. Now a fifth. Header is far off the far post. It really never, I don't think, hit an Edmonds Woodway player, and now trying to knock things back in toward the area.
I think Whitaker got a touch on that to send it clear. She's certainly the tallest body in there for Shorewood.
Now Porter will bring the ball out with a throw in. And it splits two defenders, intended for Gabby Clark.
Clark and Jensen just kind of bounced off each other, and the ball went right between them.
Francisco now tied up at midfield and a foul. She did do most of the tying up.
Yeah, I would say that's true. Oh, right off her teammate's back. That's kind of an unfortunate free kick. Allison Monroe, hopefully she's all right after that.
Kind of ducked in, didn't know exactly what happened there.
I guess if you got to get smacked from 5 yards away, the back is the right place, though.
Here comes Helen. She'll knock it back, trying to find running Jensen up the right-hand side. Jensen now has another pass on the far touch, and it finally rolls out. Gave chase for a bit, trying to get Pettit open along that right-hand side because Francisco was anchored in the middle should they get across. And now here's a run on as Garay
She was offside anyway by
makes a great decision. And indeed offside.
Going back to the play here, Shorewood with a great opportunity, but they had two poor passes. The first one was behind the player in the middle, and the second one was too long for the runner. So instead of a quick swing out to the right and then a long pass forward to get across, you had a pass that was behind the midfielder Jensen. She had to go back and get it. By the time she got there, the runner out on the right touch line was a little bit too far away for an accurate pass. That should have been a nice opportunity for Shorewood to cross toward goal.
And now running on, here is Francisco trying to challenge the keeper.
Nice clearance by Towel.
And Towel just sends it on. And now here comes Edmonds Woodway. But you can tell Shorewood has packed 5 now behind the 40-yard line. Now they'll bring a couple of midfielders forward, but they're not afraid to ride a little 1-0 for a while.
And they're
an advantage.
They're perfectly fine with taking this thing at this level, and in fact, they're perfectly fine with regular time ending in a draw. That's fine with them at this point. All they need to do is hold on, and if they can get the win in the extra session, fine, and if it ends in a draw, they'd accept that as well.
With Shorewood being their last game of the regular season, they really do need the win here if they're going to surpass Edmonds Woodway.
You're right. I'm sorry. I had them flipped. I thought that they were trying to hold position. I'm sorry.
So
You're
in
right.
that case, how long do you sit back before you take a chance at getting another insurance goal here?
Boy, it's when you must win. I don't know that you should be sitting back at all. This is a dangerous time for Shorewood. I think energy from Edmonds Woodway. It's very good to start the second half, and they've got to be careful that they don't just let themselves be lulled into sitting that for a long time and maybe getting some flaws exposed back there.
Helen had a bit of a counter. It looked like she was going to turn and run 2-on-1 with My Francisco, and just a little bit of mistake in the dribble there cost her some hesitation, allowed the defender back on, and now Edmonds Woodway.
Look at the shape of the Warriors right now. They've only got 3 in the back line, and that's different than we saw in the first half. And so far, it's worked well for them. The 3 back there have done a nice job of corralling the counters, and they're managing to move some bodies forward, are the Warriors, and the pressure has been there for the first 6 minutes of the half.
Peters now comes out of the defense almost into attacking midfield role. Has the ball taken away, and now we'll try to go back into the defending. Has the ball up that right-hand side. Here come the Thunderbirds. It's Pettit.
Francisco with a nice job to pick her out there.
And Larson. Now on the far side, it goes to Morgan, and she watches it go over the near touchline.
Just couldn't get there. That's a nice ball. That's a very nice ball from Larson.
And now Edmonds Woodway, and the Warriors will pick up their defense, and right now almost starting the way they started the first half, and that is struggling through the midfield. Aside from a couple of just runs by forwards and where they dodge, parry, and weave through a mass of defenders, an organized attack through midfield has really been hard to come by for the Edmonds Woodway Warriors.
Give a lot of credit to Shorewood's midfield. They've disrupted what the Warriors have tried to do very nicely here in the first part of the second half.
Ball now back to Larson. Larson gives way to London. And now into the area trying to find Francisco. And shielding the ball and clearing it for Edmonds Woodway. Great bit of defense there.
Good possession by Porter.
And here comes E-Dub. Trying to find Madison Schultz. No, Maddie Schultz now will go on attack and show that speed and be pesky over around the midfield. But once again, not able to get through into the attacking third. E-Dub will have to go back and try to just play damage control.
Peterson tried to get a little flick pass over to Schultz there as taking a shoulder, no whistle for Clark. But Edmonds Woodway retains possession and tries to send it forward for Peterson.
Schultz with the header tried to find Peterson between the defenders. I don't think Peterson was in on the deal.
She certainly had to change her momentum there to try and chase that ball down, but she did so very gamely and almost made something of it.
Towel to Peterson. The header goes right back to Shorewood.
That took Peterson kind of awkwardly off the side of her face. It took the it took the Shorewood player first, and then it glanced off of right near the eye of Peterson. She's kind of holding the side of her face a little bit.
Gabby Clark over to Monroe. When Monroe will dump it back now to Meager. And up front to Peterson.
She controlled it with her arm. Yeah, there's the whistle.
So handball call. And Shorewood will go back in. And you kind of felt maybe in that possession the momentum shifting just a little bit. As 2 and 3 defenders were finally working their way forward for Edmonds Woodway.
The energy and the effort are definitely there for the Warriors. They've just got to find the right combination.
Here is Schultz. Hesitation now into the center of the field. Long ball on the far side. I believe that's Scholl. And it goes past Melissa Long running on the far side.
I can't see her number, but a dangerous choice by the right back for Shorewood here. She stopped up her run and put her arm looking for offside. She might have been right. I'm not sure. But you can't do that. You got to go with your mark and make sure that the AR is going to put the flag up. And I think that was that Pettit? You got to make sure that the AR's flag is going to go up before you stop your run.
And now right back into the attack comes Edmonds Woodway, but they're going to have to get possession first, and a quality possession. Something they've struggled with. Metz, far touch. It goes to, or near touch to Peters. Peters tried to find Peterson in the middle of the area right outside the 18. And now a 90-yard sprint by Francisco.
She hurried Towel there. She didn't realize Francisco was there for just a second.
Good job by Francisco. And again, working off the ball. Right now taking a bit of a breather. But if you watch her on the left-hand side of your screen as she comes into play here, and now I think we may have been winded on that 80-yard sprint.
She does look a little tired now, but her effort.
She's not moving as fast.
Her effort's been superb this far in the game. She only played about half of the first half, but she was a very big influence while she was on the field.
Cornell Meyer with throw-in now for Shorewood. Has it taken away there, and here comes the attack. Peterson with it. Stops up. Tries the little through ball, a little touch through to Gabby Clark, taken away.
Nice idea, just a little bit light on the touch.
And Shorewood will go back onto the offense. They've already got the lead. It happened in the 33rd minute on a Morgan McFarland rebound. After Helen was able to strike the far post, hit woodwork, and it bounced right back to the feet of McFarland, who struck it home. And that's your score, 1-0. Schultz into the center, left foot. Not really a lot on that, and certainly didn't draw any air. Ashley Gray just kind of nonchalantly turns to her left and watches that one go past the net.
Schultz has tried a couple different tacks with that ball, having possession near the corner of the 18 there. She tried to cross it before, and it bounced up and over the head of Meager. That time she tried to take a shot, but she pulled it toward her and couldn't keep it on frame. They're getting opportunities, though, are the Warriors, and they're getting the ball into dangerous spots. If they can continue to do that, they've got half an hour to try and bury one of them.
And that's all they're going to have. They've squandered some opportunities. And now here on the counter come the Thunderbirds. And, boy, they come with some transition.
Give credit to Allison Monroe there to come flying back to be a pest there and force the ball back out wide.
Into this area on a long pass, trying to split the defenders. And that usually from that distance isn't going to have many chances of getting through, even though you had 2 in the area. That one muffed into the turf.
That took a deflection, I think.
And now it's Shorewood that looks like they're playing a little bit crazed, a little bit hurried, where all the balls are not at the feet but in the air, and they're having trouble maintaining possession. Finally settle things down just a little bit. Now here's a ball out to the left-hand side to Morgan. Morgan, a long, airy shot. That one had some flight under it.
Careful by Tal to make sure that wasn't going to be near her post.
And now Tal with the boot. Right at midfield. Edmonds Woodway is going to have to throw a couple bodies forward here into the attack. Right now, it's only really been the 2 girl front in Peterson and Schultz. And that one just taken away. That wasn't even, didn't look like it was even an effort once the ball was challenged.
Now, Melissa Long couldn't keep it at her feet. I think that was Huntemer. Got in the way. 15 or 16? That's Jensen, 16.
Jensen. And now E-Dub. Peterson has one running into the area. That's Clark.
It hit Schultz in the back of the heel.
So Schultz and Clark trying to do most of the forward play now as a shot being centered. Wasn't really a shot, more just get the ball off the touchline and stolen away there. And that pass I don't really understand. That was almost just a try. You got a percentage in your mind you're just going to turn and fire it at Francisco and hope that she's the one receiving the ball at the other end.
You know, she almost made something of it, too. She was just about 2 steps away from being able to get ahead on that ball and flick it over the top, but instead it's handled easily by Mackey.
Edmonds Woodway struggling to get more than 2 passes clear at this point.
But they are, and yet they're still exerting a great deal of pressure. And as you say, the Thunderbirds do look kind of flustered even as they push forward.
And now trying to get an organized attack. It goes off the foot of Jacqueline Metz, and the senior will go back into her defensive shape. We've got a substitution now coming in. And I believe that's your goal scorer, McFarland, replacing Francisco at about the same time that it occurred in the first half, and it was certainly a good chess move by Bill Wilkins, the head coach for the Shorewood soccer.
And right off that restart, Helen almost got her head to that ball to try and push it past Tal. It bounces safely into the Warrior goalkeeper's arms, but those are frightening moments as a goalkeeper.
She looks smooth, though. Even in the goal that was hit first off the post and then into the back of her own net.
I'm pretty sure she got a hand to push that onto the post in the first place.
But she just looks content back there. Very smooth.
You'd expect that of someone bound for Pennsylvania and the Ivy League.
And now a corner kick awarded. And Edmonds Woodway finds themselves in a tough spot again. Not a lot of corners. And in the run of play, I believe was where we found the first goal. I don't believe it was a set piece.
It was not. It was a very quick counter. And all of a sudden, here's the ball in the 6-yard box off the post and in the net. It happened very quickly.
Here's service now into the area, and it is not clear there, but not by much. And I don't know if that was a shot. It was a great attempt. And again, Lisa Jensen found herself on the back post. and threw herself at the ball. I think it came down off the head of Melissa Long.
Jensen came in and it was low, and she tried to swing her both legs out at it and just kind of pulled it to her side of her near post. Nice effort, though.
1-0. Shorewood over Edmonds Woodway. Not quite 60 minutes into this contest here at Edmonds District Stadium. Keith Neely and Nathan Murphy with you on the Sound Live Sports Network. We've got one of two, this being one, and two being the Edmonds Woodway Glacier Peak football game.
Two different types of Monday Night Football for you.
That's right. Bowl and ball.
Yeah, you got it.
And Edmonds Woodway would like to get the equalizer here, and they've got 21 minutes to do it. Have had their chances, but they've been few and far between. A much different defense that we've seen out of the Shorewood side here in this second half.
Woodway's had a lot of chances to try and play a through ball or try and make a long run, but they haven't really, with a couple of exceptions, managed to keep possession inside about 20 yards from goal thus far.
Peters wins the ball on the near touch. And once again, it's Morgan out there challenging, and she's been disruptive in the midfield, and now taken away. Still on. And to the deck. A foul, and an easy one to make as Metz hits the turf.
Definitely a foul, an easy decision for referee Isaacson to make. There hasn't been a ton of contact here in this game. They're playing pretty straight up. Both teams are.
Now trying to organize attack, a little flick. And that will go past the near touchline. Quickly up on it is Peters. And she'll retreat and gather herself now. And here comes the throw in. Cleared nicely. And I don't know where she was throwing that, but Cornell Meyer was the only girl there and in blue to take it away.
I don't think that's what she meant to do with it, but it's also possible she thought one of the teammates was going to make the comeback run.
And here comes the counter for Shorewood. Here's the center into the area and onto the feet. Still a live ball. Finally knocked clear and out of the way. And it was up to Meager just to get it off the 6-yard box. At that point in time, Meager was the only one I think that saw the ball, but had to go through two defenders and one of her own girls in order to get there to get it clear.
Well, I think it hit Peters first, and Woodway is very lucky. The referee on his game here didn't blow the whistle there where some guys might have, because it had hit the feet of an Edmonds Woodway defender and then was handled by Towel rather. A legal play since they weren't trying to play it back to the goalkeeper, but still a scary moment if you're a fan of Edmonds Woodway.
And now knocked clear. And Shorewood will bring it in once again. And right now, Shorewood looks like the dominant team.
They've found that mojo again, yeah.
And a substitution as
I think
Gabby Clark goes off.
I think Scholl is who replaced her. Yeah, number 6 on the far side there.
That's Ellie Scholl. Scholl, a sophomore. Making some waves up here on the varsity squad.
Had a string of touches late in the first half. We called her name a few times. She particularly had a nice defensive play. And you need the Warriors to hang on to their defensive prowess, but also find something on the offensive end.
There's a shot, but wide, right in front of the eyes. Crossing from left to right in front of Towel, and she'll watch that one go by. It will be a goal kick. And again, great presence back there. Was not upset, rushed, or worried.
She does not look like she rattles easily, does the senior.
17, make that 18 minutes remaining here in the ball game. And Edmonds Woodway finds themselves down 1-0 to Shorewood, 2 and 3. The win would get them the number 2 spot being the Shorewood Thunderbirds. A tie or a loss will probably keep them right where they are. And, of course, they will need a little bit of help in the final matchup for Edmonds Woodway. And I don't even know really how that one's going to play out because the final game for E-Dub is against Marysville Pilchuck.
And it's impossible to say, whether that game is going to be made up at this point. Obviously, our thoughts are with the Marysville community right now, and a very difficult time for them. It's tough to think about athletics at this point, but the people who are scheduled to be their opponents do need to figure out at some point what the future is going to hold.
Yeah, rightfully an afterthought.
Absolutely.
Edmonds Woodway squanders an opportunity again. Shorewood doing a nice job of getting forward in the midfield. Impressive is Sienna Helen. It seems like number 10 is just constantly in a shark-like fashion through midfield.
We talked a little bit earlier about how disruptive the midfield has been, and she's been at the center of that for the Thunderbirds tonight.
A bit of a misplay now as Maddie Schultz heads into the center of the area. On rushing on the far side now, I believe that is Scholl. Back to Schultz. Schultz tries to do a little cheeky move inside the 18, just inside the top of the box.
Nice play by Clark to capitalize on the mistake and get a cross out of it. Schultz unable to do anything with the ball at her feet, and a foul now given and a caution.
Oh, McFarland in the book.
That's not a particularly physical foul. The referee, I would guess, judged that was a tactical foul, but that's not a particularly dangerous moment. The ball going diagonally, not toward the goal, so curious what his thinking was there.
So about 35 yards out now, the ball placed for Peterson. And she is ready for service. And here comes the strike into the area, headed away there. Happened to find the tallest defender in the entire pile, and she makes good on it. That is Cornell Meyer, the junior.
Goes out for a Woodway corner, however. Opportunity for the Warriors here.
Another set piece, and again it's Peterson with the strike. Off the corner, off the set. Here it comes into the area. Too high on the 18, and now a chance to counter. Stolen away there.
Nice job by Scholl to get in that passing lane.
Up forward, Peterson trying to disrupt London. And London finally able to get enough possession to clear. They wanted a handball there.
None there.
Won't get it. And off to the races. Here comes Helen.
That shoulder is a challenging decision to make because there's a line somewhere where it's a fine play on one side of it and handling on the other side of it. The referee judged that was not handling.
Here is Scholl now into the center. Gives the ball back to Metz. Metz now running on. Centers in the area. Right at the keeper. And in the goal is Maddie Schultz. Garay was frozen in the center of the box. And Schultz goes right after her with the header. We're equal.
She was lurking down that left side the whole possession there and not letting herself be seen, really. She was kind of hiding behind the right back, and that ball was bounced through. That wasn't a cross attempt, and we talked about her speed so many times tonight. That's what made this goal happen. She managed to run onto a ball not intended for her and head it past a frozen goalkeeper in Garay. And we've got a level match.
And you wonder if Garay just didn't suddenly see her out of the corner of her eye, and her peripheral said, you better make a decision, and she couldn't. And frozen right there. After the ball looked like it was just going to drift softly and easily into her clutches. It was not to be. Maddie Schultz now with 9 goals in as many games.
A remarkable string for the senior, and it's a great demonstration of the ability that we talk about with her, and obviously playing at the level she plays at. It's what you would expect, but it's still very nice to see for the Warriors fans. You come up with a huge goal in a huge moment like this, just 13 minutes left in this one, trying to hold on to seed. Huge moment for the Warriors.
66th minute. The goal for Schultz, and now a foul and a kick in a fairly dangerous part of the field.
It's kind of an in-between spot in a high school setting. It's not a shooting opportunity. It is an opportunity for service, and you can see that Shorewood is putting 5 blue shirts over there on the right side to try and make this curling run.
Here's London now.
I
Took
told
it
her
right into a shot.
I told her it wasn't a shooting area. She didn't listen to me.
She did not. And puts it about 2 yards to the left of the net. And Towle watches it fly clear. And now into Schultz, who tries to knock it back to herself, but lost a bit of her balance. And Edmonds Woodway now tasting blood, perhaps. They feel like they might be able to win this thing in the final 12 minutes.
That acid in your leg muscles when you're riding the excitement of a goal scored, particularly a huge one like that, it just doesn't burn as much.
Seems a lot less.
Yes, sir.
Still playing expert defense here, especially on this near side. Very impressed so far by Michaela Morgan. She has owned the left side of that defense so far.
Absolutely, and it's the one goal we talked about on a counter for Shorewood. There really haven't been a ton of opportunities. There's been pressure, but not a lot of in-the-area opportunities for Shorewood.
Here's a chance for Schultz now, right side. Got a little hesitation now. She'll put a pop in and into the goal on the rebound. He dubbed 2 goals in 4 minutes as Ramey Peters takes a carom off the keeper on a shot by Maddie Schultz and puts it home.
Schultz made that happen. She absolutely made that happen with marvelous control at the corner of the 6-yard box. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. The Shorewood Thunderbirds thought she was going to take that shot. When she finally did, it took a deflection off of, I think it was Jensen, and it kind of skittered out toward the far post exactly in the right spot for Peters, who won the race to the ball and finished easily. And in just 4 minutes, Edmonds Woodway leads this match. Huge turnaround.
66th minute is all it takes. 66 minutes to get the equalizer. And I've got 70th minute, on the goal by Peters to go ahead. And now Shorewood cannot be content with what has been, up to this point, stellar defense. They've bent, but they certainly hadn't broken up to this point in time, even though it looked like they had been certainly applied a lot of pressure to in the waning moments of that first half, Nathan. But sometimes after maybe you take a one possession off, it can really hurt.
Well, that's what pressure can do to you when you're having to defend against waves of attack, even if they're not penetrating deeply. If you're just having to consistently turn away attempts to break through the back line, that's difficult to maintain. And sometimes when there are just too many opportunities, eventually one of them will get through no matter how well your back four are playing. And that's just unfortunate for Shorewood, who've played so well at the back tonight until this point.
Scholl with possession now, and she's earned it after the steal down on the far side. She takes it 50 yards back up. Here's Maddie Schultz once again, and she'll have that one taken away after a marking on the far side. Shorewood has put Olivia Hollenbeck on her, almost a box-in-one style on Maddie Schultz, and you can see why. Responsible for 2 goals now, one of her own, and one forcing the issue. Finally given up to Ramey Peters.
The pressure paid off. We talked about whether it would. We talked about if they'd be able to find the finish, but the pressure was there even during the time Shorewood's possession was very good. The Warrior pressure continued, and it did pay off. It just took a frighteningly long time for Warriors fans.
And now EW, I imagine, while you're feeling you can keep putting pressure on, you're going to have to push in order to keep the counter, at least have the counter start much deeper than it has been. The midfield seems to be the starting point so far for the Shorewood counters, and that last 2 or 3 possessions, they've had to start about 20 yards on the football field in order to muster any return.
Well, Edmonds Woodway can afford to try and play a smothering midfield right now because they don't have to be looking for opportunities to score. They're the ones who hold the seed position right now. All they have to do is draw to maintain it. And so they can afford to try and just poke and prod and just not let the blue shirts move through instead of having to look for attacking opportunities of their own.
Peterson has it knocked away. Cornell Meyer on the defense on the right-hand side now, and it'll be Haley Porter who goes in. We've got a substitution now for Edmonds Woodway. Coming on is Melissa Long and leaving Isabella Meager. And Meager looked a bit winded in that last possession. She's played a marvelous game.
She had a very nice run about 10 minutes ago when she broke up a couple of attacks in a row and kept her team in the game.
And now here comes that counter. Straight away comes Carrie Huntenmer, and has it taken away.
And she'll earn a free kick.
Long ways to run for Ramie Peters. She had to go clear from the near, about the 15-yard mark, just outside the area.
That's
on the near side. Clear to the far side, about equidistant the other direction.
It's such a long run when you've played 75 minutes already. It's a long way to go. And she did a nice job to stay with it.
Here's into the area, right to the keeper. One bounce and a swing and a miss off the foot of Helland to try to take it away from Towle.
Dangerous parry from Towle, but she got it back in her hands. It's a scary moment. As a goalkeeper, you have to make a decision. Do you think you can hold it? Because if you can't, it's worse than trying to parry it intentionally. But if you can't, you give that moment when there's a chance for your opponent, and it almost happened to her right there.
And I've kind of been noticing Towle likes to bounce the soccer ball once. It almost seems like a timing bounce. And that time, she did it in traffic. Well, that could be a bit worrisome.
When you've got clean possession and you're getting ready to punt, the laws say that the bounce like that doesn't end possession. So she can do that without danger when she's getting ready to clear the ball. But when she doesn't have it yet, it's a loose ball. It's a free ball, and it was a very dangerous spot there. I didn't get a number, but one of the forwards, I think it might have been Morgan. Helland, you say it was? It was Helland. Was right there and didn't miss it by much. I think she was surprised that the ball fell to her feet.
I think so, too. And we could have had an equalizer right here. 5 minutes remaining here in the contest. And pressing, you can be sure at this point in time, will be the Shorewood Thunderbirds. They need to get the ball in the attacking third.
And you talked earlier about the significance of this match for them, the difference between the 2 and 3 seed and playing a 5-win team versus somebody like Glacier Peak that's only got 4. The difference in who you play, it matters. And they've got to try for it at this point. They really do.
And they will keep possession, but the clock not on their side as we see the football teams warming up outside the track.
That's a little bit of time pressure.
And now into the dangerous part of the area with 2 running on. Only 1 in defense in the center of the area. And you're going to have to mark better than that. You can't get lazy right now if you're Edmonds Woodway.
Dangerous moment again, and Shorewood certainly not withering under the time pressure they're facing. They're facing up to it, and they're doing a nice job of creating chances for themselves here in the last few minutes.
3:55 now. Stolen away in midfield. It's Jensen. Straight on. Tries to dump it into the middle of the area. Turning a shot up over the bar and into the net. We're tied at 2. You can't get complacent against a good team.
I think that's Jensen, and it's a culmination of a massive effort from her here in the second half. We talked about her in the midfield when she was just locking up the Edmonds Woodway attack, and here she takes a ball in the middle right about the penalty arc, and caught in between was Kiera Towle. She tried to come out, and she did get a hand on it, but the shot was really soft, and she didn't manage to push it high enough. And it slips under her crossbar and into the goal. We're tied at 2 with just 3 minutes left in regular time.
77th minute for the goal by Lisa Jensen and the junior on the board. And so far your goal scorers for Shorewood, a junior and a sophomore, Nathan.
That's It bodes well for their 2015 campaign, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. At least from the striker spot.
Yeah.
And you look up and down that roster, 2, 4, 6, 7 seniors on this team. One of them, the backup keeper. And now a hard foul by Nicole Holmstrom.
Holmstrom just went right through her.
And E-Dub has 2 minutes and change now to try to get the lead back. And that's tough duty, although they've done it bang-bang fashion before. 66th and 70th minutes have been their goals.
1 goal through the first 65 minutes of the match, and then 4 here in the last 15.
Service right into the
mini
wall there, and now trying to just bust through a double team is Monroe. Long. A little soft shot through the area, taken in by Garay without much hesitation. And now you're going to have to be careful not to get 2 goals scored on you in 3 minutes.
Oh, that's the most
Edmonds
important
Woodway.
thing for the Warriors, absolutely, is don't concede a third. Now, Keith, you might know this more than I do. What's the Wesco rule on drawn matches?
I do not know. As far as can it be a draw?
Well, I know it can be, but is it immediately?
I do not believe they play extra time.
Okay.
Yes. So it will be a no overtime situation. The ball goes now over the left-hand side. And you can imagine in this kind of weather why that would be applied.
Yeah, certainly. And
not tonight's weather. It's actually been a very nice day.
It's a great fall night, but the weather in general in October in the Puget Sound.
The great PNW.
Plus the tradition of the sport, that's a move that the state of Washington, the WIAA, is trying to make with adopting the modified FIFA laws instead of the NFHS rules and moving kind of toward the world standard of the game, which makes a lot of sense in a time when the Sounders are so popular, when the U.S. men's national team has such a following, and the women's national team as well. So it certainly fits, but I believe that the state allows leagues to make their own choice about that.
Well, and with the blossoming of soccer in the United States, it only makes sense that you would want to prepare your athletes.
Dangerous moment here as it skipped backwards. Not exactly what Mackey wanted to do with that one, and Towell comes all the way out to send it out of play.
Nearing the final in this one, and I think if you're Shorewood, you feel like you've escaped coming into the unfriendly confines of Edmonds District Stadium and stealing a draw here if you were able to muster it. We are at that mark where regulation time has ended.
It would be a great point for them, and that's the final whistle.
And that will do it. Edmonds Woodway 2, Shorewood 2 in the final between number 2 and number 3 in the standings. They will remain right there.
Not a lot between them, is there?
And you can tell why they're right there in the final top tier, the creme de la creme of the Wesco 3A girls soccer. Both teams played very well. It was
Keith,
a lot of fun.
I don't think we're done. We got captains out here.
We do.
I think
lied
we're playing
to you.
on. You said you thought, and I said I didn't know.
I was confident.
Here we go.
Confident in my not knowing. So we are bringing captains back up.
Now, I'll tell you that if it follows the state rule, we'll play 5 minutes twice, and it's golden goal. So, and there is indeed 5 minutes on the clock. So I'm going to assume I was able to find the WIAA rule that's used in the state tournament. And presumably that will be what we'll do here. So if it does follow that, we'll have 2 5-minute periods. We'll switch ends between, and a goal would end the match. They call it the golden goal in soccer, sudden death, as it's often called here in the United States. So that's what we think is the deal here, as we will try and break this tie.
And speaking of breaks, we'll take a quick one ourselves here on the Sound Live Sports Network. We're knotted at 2, and we'll be back with the extra time right after this break on the Sound Live Sports Network.
People assume quality car insurance has to cost more. People assume too much. The truth is, drivers who switched to Allstate last year saved money and got better protection. So get the facts, because you know what they say about people who assume. They pay more for car insurance than you and me.
To see how much you can save on car insurance and much more, call Jeff Smar. Jeff's office serves many areas including Linwood, Edmonds, Bothell, and Mountlake Terrace. He can be reached at 425-949-7103 or jeffsmar@allstate.com.
Welcome to Northwest Best, brought to you by Smart Service Subaru. Here's your host, Mike Halsey.
We're back at the Red Onion in Mountlake Terrace, and I'm with the owner, Sean, and the food here is absolutely terrific. The burgers are made with 100% beef, made to order with fresh ingredients. And you're involved in a lot of community projects.
Yes, Mike, we are. With the help of our loyal customers, we're able to give back to our community. Such as we take 100 kids shopping with cops and join us for our terrific Tuesday fundraisers. Join us
at Red Onion Burger.
And thank you for watching.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
5 minutes, put it back onto the clock here at Edmonds District Stadium. It's the overtime period, one presumably of two, should this one go to 0-0. It's Shorewood and Edmonds Woodway. Shorewood in the blue kits, going in front of us from right to left. Edmonds Woodway, the Warriors in the white kits, going from left to right. And they will take possession now. Pretty balanced scoring for both teams. Morgan McFarland got a rebound in the 33rd minute, and that got Shorewood on the board first. And then Maddie Schultz in the 66th minute with one of her tricky speed demon type moves.
Oh, she was just hiding out on the left flank there, just completely unnoticed because she was so far away from the ball. Except that she's never far away from the ball as quick as she is.
It seems like that. Instant offense. Maddie Schultz in the 66th minute gets the equalizer, and then turning right around is Ramey Peters in the 70th minute.
On a play created by Schultz that time.
Schultz missed, caroms off the keeper, and perhaps a defender, and right to an on-rushing Peters who puts it in. And that time, trying to, I believe, center the ball. That goes just past the end line on the near side of the net.
Sometimes, honestly, you're hoping more for a corner kick than a good save. She didn't have a whole lot of help coming down. One teammate, I think it was Scholl, but no deflection. I guess that was Peters in the middle. No deflection there.
And the scoring in the 77th minute. Lisa Jensen on the counterattack, who was able to kind of flick the soft little scoop up and over the head, and it was the keeper Towel who tried to punch it clear and just didn't get enough on it.
That's every
Fell
goalkeeper's
right behind her.
Every goalkeeper's nightmare is taken down here. Is Francisco, is that ball that is just too high for you to punch clear, and it skitters into your net, and if you decided to go back and get it, she probably would have gotten
probably
there.
Had
so
it. Yep.
It's not something you like to see as a goalkeeper, and if the Warriors can't find a winner here, it's something that's going to be something she'll have to get past as they move into the postseason.
The ball now moving up the left-hand side. It goes to Schultz. Will take it right up the center of the field. And right into the double team. Tries to find one Warrior. Now it skips out on the left-hand side. And right there to knock it away is Hollenbeck.
And as Schultz goes down to play ACC soccer, here's the thing I think she's going to have to take and work on. She's got tremendous speed. The next level for her is, can she keep the ball closer to feet as she's using that speed? It's a difficult thing to do. But you saw on that last trip the ball a little bit out in front of her. She wasn't able to keep it. If she can keep the ball right at her feet as she uses that tremendous pace that she has, she becomes that much more dangerous.
Here it is to Maddie. Turns and spins on a one-touch, almost off the outstretched arms of the keeper and just inside the area. And I believe that will be a corner kick as Garay on two occasions cannot grasp the ball.
A great turning shot from the senior in Schultz, and she just can't quite lift it high enough to get it over the hands of the Shorewood goalkeeper.
So once again, it will go to Peterson, and she will attempt the corner kick with 2 minutes. We're now about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, or excuse me, about minute 30 left to go here in the first overtime period. Schultz tries to get it clear, and finally Edmonds Woodway will take possession as it gets knocked back to Peters. Into the area on running. I can't believe that would have been onside.
I think she was. I think she waited. But the last defender, the second to last defender, was so high up above the top of the 18 that she had too far to go to try and get it.
So we're approaching 1 minute now, unofficially, as the clock once again stopped at 2 in high school soccer. And trying to keep things alive right in front of her own bench is Ellie Scholl. And she gets up with a grin. And the bench over there laughing with her. And now E-Dub to Schultz. Now left-hand side. Gathered by Scholl. And she has it taken away.
Waited a little too long. Got caught from behind.
Francisco.
Nice clearance.
And now running on as E-Dub would love to get one final possession into at least get the ball into one of their playmakers right now, and that will be the end of one. And yet here we are again. Knotted at 2.
5 more minutes.
Shorewood and Edmonds Woodway will take another quick break. Got ourselves a soccer match here at Edmonds District Stadium. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network. Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only 5 more minutes on the clock, knotted at 2. Teams will exchange sides now. The white kit's going from right to left, Edmonds Woodway. And that is Scholl keeping possession. Into the center of the field and cleared there. Shorewood digging in.
You can certainly see the respect that they give both to Schultz and to Peterson with 2 defenders on each as Scholl tried to play the ball in there.
And Whitaker anchoring that center back on the right-hand side. Got some height to her back there. Not afraid to go up and get it.
Absolutely. She's been stalwart for them. She was caught out of position on the first goal, and then the second one was not to her side, but she's made a number of very nice plays to strip the ball away from Schultz and also from Peterson to keep this as close as it was.
Bringing the ball up now is Monroe. Into the center trying to find Maddie Schultz. Knocked to the turf. They say play on. And now to Peters. Tries the header back to Maddie Schultz, and it will be knocked clear there. Excellent job of finding the left winger. Back in defense. The line steady as all get out for Shorewood. They're going to play very conservative soccer at this point.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. I'm not sure that's what I would have expected, but it's what we've seen from them here in the extra time.
Now we'll go right in front of the Shorewood bench. Go back to the Warriors with 3 minutes to go here. Already 2 gone by. In the second overtime period, we are knotted at 2 at Edmonds District Stadium. Jensen McFarland, the goal scorers for Shorewood. Schultz and Peters, the goal scorers for Edmonds Woodway, and that's the 2 apiece we're looking at right now. And here is Scholl up to, I believe that was Schultz who wasn't running that time. And now just missing the ball on a pass to Helen in the middle of the field would have been a great counterattack for the Thunderbirds. It just wasn't going to happen.
Just about a step behind her as she started to move up the field. The ball went where she was. And that's happened a couple of times to the Thunderbirds in the last 25 minutes or so of the match where They've had the space to make a nice counter in the past, just hasn't quite been in the right place.
And there is another chance right now. McFarland with it on the far side now, knocked cleared by Helland. And E-Dub will have the ball kind of ping-ponged around there in front of the Shorewood bench. Peters thought she was going to get a run on it, and it skipped off the turf and up and over on the far touchline. It will go back to the T-Birds.
Nice clearance by Metz to get in and get the ball out of danger there.
Now we have got to be nearing the final 2 minutes of play here, if not the final minute, and giving chase 40 yards off the track to retrieve the ball is certainly not helping either team's cause at this point in time. No ball managers. And they will return the ball to midfield. Go get it, says Isaacson, the referee. And now they'll throw in. Into the double team, trying to get it clear. Finally they do. It goes up to Scholl.
A foul was called. Yep. Everybody forward now in the white shirts.
That's perhaps the final possession for Edmonds Woodway, and it will be cleared there.
Dangerous
and
spot
a chance
here.
To counter. And still in possession of the ball right in front of the E-Dub bench. Here come the Thunderbirds and Node. Tal will go get it and try one more time for the long home run, the walk-off home run. And it's not to be that time either.
I don't think Game 6 is till tomorrow night, Keith.
It may not be. Here's Schultz. Gets a burst of speed. Gets around one defender. Now tries to get Scholl on the left-hand side. Scholl giving chase. You're running out of daylight right now. Scholl runs in. Tries to get the final possession in her charge. Asks for some help. The comebacker to Peterson. Now centered. It goes to Monroe. And Monroe has it cleared there. Still time on the clock. Helen. Left-hand side, long ball, and Tao will scoop it up.
Heavy touch there.
And that will be the ball game. So it ends the way the overtime started, 2-2. The final here at Edmonds District Stadium. A great contest. It turned out to be defense in the final 10 minutes. We'll take a quick break, come back and wrap things up in just a moment on the Sound Live Sports Network.
Are you a whiz in filmmaking? Do you want to become extraordinary in filmmaking? Then come to Shoreline Community College and work with Shoreline Productions, where you will learn to transform your work in teams of working professionals and students to create enchanting effects such as green screen, text animation, and so much more. So come to Shoreline Community College, where you can mystify and dazzle in filmmaking.
(2-2) the final at Edmonds District Stadium. Shorewood and Edmonds Woodway will go to a draw. The standings do not change, Nathan Murphy, as Edmonds Woodway gets their first draw in league play, 8-2-1 the record heading into their final match. Shorewood will end their season 7-2-3 in league and will probably stay right there anchored at number 3.
It does appear that that's what's going to happen, and so if the standings hold, which it's likely that they will, Edmonds Woodway will get Glacier Peak in the first round of the district playoffs, and Shorewood will draw Stanwood, who will finish with a 5-4-1 record, just on the plus side of the ledger there.
Certainly fun to watch some of these young athletes and athletes playing at higher levels when they move on after their high school careers at the collegiate level, and you can see some sparks of greatness to be in a lot of these young athletes.
There's a great deal of talent that was on display here tonight, Keith. It was fun for us. It was fun for the growing crowd here as we start to filter the folks in for the football game that'll start in about 40 minutes.
Speaking of, we've got a nice one coming up in the second game of the doubleheader. The nightcap is the Edmonds Woodway Warriors hosting the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. Both teams fighting like mad for the final playoff spot in the Wesco South Division. And it will take a win to do so, as both teams are 3-2 in the conference. And whoever is the victor in tonight's ball game will come away and have what's probably more rare, Nathan, is that one of these teams will not make the playoffs this year. Glacier Peak and Edmonds Woodway, and that is a bit of a thought.
Give a ton of credit to Mount Lake Terrace and Meadowdale, who have just taken this division by storm this year. Meadowdale, of course, unbeaten. The one loss in league play for Mount Lake Terrace. Are they idle tonight, or are they out of league tonight?
They played a non-league game, I believe, against Kingston on Friday night.
That's not tonight. I'm sorry.
Win. And there's the standings in the Wesco football 3A South Division. And you're looking at the game in yellow there that we will have for you in about 40 minutes' time. But we would like to say good night to our soccer fans. A 2-2 draw here at Edmonds District Stadium, Shorewood and Edmonds Woodway. It's been a pleasure being a part of your evening here on the Sound Live Sports Network. Nathan Murphy, thanks again for being in and being the expert that you are.
Always fun to be here, Keith. And what do we say? Well, stick around for the gridiron half of the festivities.
You got it. So good night, and we'll see you on the other side, 7:30 the kickoff for the Edmonds Woodway Glacier Peak football game. We'll see you in a bit.